me start first by asking you what your thoughts on the protest that happened, calling for the removal of the BoG governor, his deputies, and the board was. Do you think it was necessary?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, in every democratic society, you expect that people who express divergent opinions must be allowed to express them in civil ways. And one of the most civilized ways was what the NDC and the minority parties, as well as many Ghanaians who joined them, actually expressed. So you'd be a fool, sorry for using this word, to actually suggest that what they did was untoward and is quite unnecessary. In fact, a while back, I've said that I think before the shenanigans turning the Occupy PPP protest started, I made a post suggesting that, it is best to have people who want to express their anger in a civilized manner rather than resort to violence. And it's better to allow them rather than prevent them. So for me, a short answer to your question is that it was a very necessary and it was very useful, I think.
And I know you have been part of demonstrations yourself. How important is that for you to the democratic process?
Well, without necessarily repeating myself, I just want to say that every democracy must allow divergent opinions, and indeed the ways to express them must also be respected as long as they are civil. So it is even an understatement to suggest that civil demonstrations are part of every democratic society. It is indeed the lifeblood of democracy that people must be allowed. It is your right to demonstrate, and I must respect that liberty to demonstrate, insofar as it doesn't infringe on my person and my property. To that extent, every civilized democracy must be welcoming of civil demonstration. And what happened last Tuesday was indeed one of the most civilized ways of expressing divergent opinion or angst against what collectively many thought was a raping and disregard for monetary policy. Some monetary policy, I must add, some monetary policy.
Do you also think, and you said you agree with the demonstration, is that to suggest that you also think that what you just said, the raping of monetary policy, is what has gone on?
Oh, without a doubt. This was a very reckless approach to finance, a very reckless financial arrangement. In fact, the fiscal reckless, which was funded by monetary reckless. That's the way I like to put it. And without any let or hindrance. I mean, to think that Governor Addison had the net suggesting to us that had he not intervened, the economy would have gone broke. I mean, it's quite frankly insulting, insinuating that we didn't see the signs in 2019. Where was he when all these split was occurring? Where was he when all these funny projects were being lifted, constructed, created, and spread across the country? Where was he when the Electoral Commission was spending millions of dollars in crotchety record? What's the word? Very crooked procurement deals in order to waste the country's money on the new register. Where was he when Colonel DVD was, as we speak today, if he was a responsible monetary policy person, he would have stopped this whole Colonel DVD nonsense. I say so because he's aware that at the back, this Colonel DVD is supposed to, its work is supposed to impact even banking operations, right? This so-called monitoring tax fraud of Liverpool companies. What is funny is that while some of the companies were even struggling to survive, they still had a minister who went ahead to institute a very crooked deal, wasting almost $1.5 million since 2018 every month. Where was Governor Addison? For him to come and be telling us that had he not, as a so-called monetary prowess not been put into action, he would have been in far worse situation. I think he actually occasioned this whole idea of encouraging government to split. So he should really save us all this nonsense. And it's better believe that we are even discussing this matter. I mean, to think that you superintended this colossal waste without any serious introspection, and for you to add insult to injury, to tell us that we should clap it, but it's nauseating and quite nonsense.
Having said that, then what did you make of the fact that he didn't even turn up to receive the petition that the minority-led demonstrators wanted to serve on him?
Well, I'm ambivalent on that issue, really. I mean, if you wanted me out, what was the point in embracing your ask by asking me to come and collect a letter to, all the angst you're expressing against me? I would think that I would agree with him that he didn't show up, but I don't think I necessarily want to agree with him concerning the person who came. Truth be told, I'm not entirely sure about whatever negative response you want to give, whether there's a head of security who came for it. For me, that really is a red herring. I don't think we should dwell so much on that. To the extent that he sent someone, it presupposes that he received it. I mean, his response is what we should be discussing. And his response, by calling the organizers and the demonstrators hooligans, is actually what we should really be angry about. For me, I don't really care too much about whether he sent anybody. As far as that person came to collect what they, that's fine. But to the extent that his response has infuriated a lot more people, including myself, is what I think we should be discussing. I mean, I don't know whether he thought he was speaking to an outside entity, so it wouldn't be reported locally. Whatever it was, I don't think he was quite well within his right to call people illegal. I think that is below the belt.
You feel calling, because this is, I'm reading from the Daily Guide of today. They also captured the school. The minority in parliament have many channels to channel their grievances in, and he posts his civilized societies that if he felt in civilized societies, they wouldn't have gone on that in the first place.
Well, he is rather quite uncivilized. To even suggest something like that. I mean, it's only an uncivil person who thinks that minority people in parliament, and indeed anybody at all within a democratic society, as particularly choose a particular set. I mean, it's quite silly. The highest form of uncivility will be suggesting to civil people how they should represent their arms. In any case, having the minority explain that anytime they are even asked to show up, they sort of and all of that. He's not the one supposed to suggest to. Minority members have the opportunity, have the liberty to protest anywhere outside of parliament. So he cannot be choosing where and how the protest should be done. I mean, that's quite an uncivil response from him, really.
So he is the one who is uncivilized to you?
As far as the matter concerning his description of the process and the method as uncivilized and as hooliganism goes, probably think he needs some etiquette or some education in civic matters. And to that extent, yes, he was quite uncivilized in his description of the process, the method, and the process that was backed upon by the minority.
Then he continues, and this is where I don't know whether you think this is to be considered as limited to this demonstration, or he's talking about his view of demonstrations. Because first it talks about channeling your grievances through other channels in civilized society. Then it goes ahead to says, not through demonstration in the streets as hooligans. This was a peaceful demonstration. He calls it hooliganism.
It tells you what his sense, his understanding of street demonstrations really are. Which is why I suspect that every Ghanaian must be up in arms against his description. Because if anybody goes out of his way to demonstrate in the street peacefully, it's called you a hooligan. Really, that's the way, uncivilized. That's what he said. There's no way of polishing this up. That's exactly how he feels about people who go on the street and demonstrate. Call them civilized, call them hooligans. And I say, and I still insist, that description, I don't know, it's coming from a very critical and civilized mind, because it is only persons who harbor such thought against civil ways of demonstrating or expressing that must actually be called uncivil, not the other way around, really. I don't think to that extent, he must even be apologizing to the entirety of Ghana. Really. I mean, I don't know. Frankly, I just don't understand. Look, I recall a few years ago, 2015, I was in the UK on a special visit by the UK government. And I was, one of the places I chose to visit was, the Bank of England, Central Bank of England. I met with the Director of National Development, and we had a long chat about how monetary policy should guide fiscal policy. Actually, monetary policy should trump fiscal policy, because the politician is always interested in expansionary economics. So it is the monetary policy people, which is the the Central Bank, who must be reining in the fiscal side of things, like the Ministry of Finance or the government, in order not to, splurge and basically put the economy in a tailspin. And in fact, I remember telling him that, well, as for this part of our world, the fiscal guy can entertain himself and the monetary guy can will just be clapped, which is essentially what has happened under Addison. So with all his knowledge in institutional economics and all of that, I'm surprised that he should be superintending on this closer ways, be asking us to clap him in that regard as well. I think anything that falls short of the responsibility, I don't think describing it as irresponsibility would even be appropriate. I think it was a high-handed, wasteful and which he embarked upon, and that's what we should be really getting him to speak. I think he's frustrated. I don't think he's in his frustration he decides to bring his anger on everybody else. Look, this is a central bank that has so-called supported the finance minister to destroy the banking institution in this country. Already, it was not in a good place before they took over, but effectively dealing a blow to most institutions, banks that were possibly who could have been safe or doing better, and rather, and in turn, wasting almost 60 billion Ghana cedis. This guy is funny, really. I don't know, but I think he has been very, very, very helpful to them. They must go. But you know the reason why he says he's not going to resign? Because he's taking it from the rule book of Anado. Anado doesn't blink when he tells people that he's going to let the finance minister go. He just doesn't blink. So everybody does whatever he or she wants. And he knows Anado will not say a word or sack him. So that's where we are. I think the calls on him to resign should be louder, especially in the light of his uncouth description of people who are protesting. I think more pressure should be piled upon him to actually apologize as well to Ghanaians for the rather despicable description that is given to every Ghanaian who has demonstrated before and who will be demonstrating in the future. And to that extent, he should be, should be remorseful rather than being haughty and quite frankly insulting.
And in fact, I recall when they did the Occupy demonstration, even the finance minister was there. The president has a record when it comes to using protest as a tool for sending a message to whoever was in power. And there are several other people who have demonstrated. But in all this discussion, it seems the government is jumping behind him. They are not even raising any questions about the description of demonstrators as hooligans, a peaceful demonstration. Let me read to you Gabi Ochudaku's tweet, and I'm sure you've seen it already. It says Ghana is an interesting country. All across the world, the economic crisis of the last couple of years has seen central banks stepping in to do what is necessary, even if not orthodox, under a very difficult situation to rescue national economies. Except in Ghana, where parliamentarians, including economists, lead a protest to bastardize the governor and his team, who should rather be commended for exhibiting the highest sense of duty and patriotism. We are too eager to overwallow in negativism as a positive way of showing love for country. Are you surprised by the fact that the president is not even offended by those comments?
Oh, well, I mean, this tweet is dated, right? It's not recent.
Yes, he tweeted this. This is Gabi Ochodakun. I read Gabi Ochodakun's tweet.
And I'm saying this tweet is an old tweet, right?
No, this is 5th October 2023, 7:03 a.m.
Sorry. Could you please repeat it again? Sorry. I thought it was first.
No, it's current. 7:03 a.m. when we have started discussing what the governor of Bank of Ghana has told central banking. He wrote, Ghana is an interesting country. All across the world, the economic crisis of the last couple of years has seen central banks stepping in to do what is necessary, even if not orthodox, under a very difficult situation to rescue national economies. Except in Ghana, where parliamentarians, including economists, lead a protest to bastardize the governor and his team, who should rather be commended for exhibiting the highest sense of duty and patriotism.
No.
We are too eager to overwallow in negativism as a positive way of showing love for country.
This is another irresponsible tweet. You know, the funny thing though is that this suggestion that, I mean, let's take it one by one. This whole suggestion, really, that central banks across the world were stepping in. They were doing it transparently, weren't they? You think the UK and all these countries were doing things on the blind side of the country? That's what Addison did. Look, let's not let's not brush the whole issue aside and just just say that because central banks across the world were supporting countries, they were doing so transparently. Did the central bank, when the central bank gave it support, as in, I mean, some of the support that they gave, have they seen the audit report of some of those things that the money was used for? In any case, the question really is, why does Governor Addison do things on the blunt side of the Ghanaian? Because most of these things were supposed to go to Parliament anyway. Did it go to Parliament? Did he receive any blessings? He suggested, that because he told the finance ministry or the finance minister, then it surpasses, then it what's it called? Then it meets the whole criteria, parliamentary criteria of telling the Ghanaian or telling Parliament. It's quite frankly insult. And that's what I think my good friend Gabi should be concerned about. The guy did not respect laid down procedure. He did not do it. So this is not a question about Bank of Ghana, central banks across the world supporting the economy. Supporting them transparently is the issue. Addison did not do any of those. He did. If he did, it was not even a quarter of what he went to Parliament to ask for. He did some of them on the quiet. And that's the problem that we are discussing. I don't think anybody would have had any issue if Addison had come to Parliament and there were discussions as to how much, and if he knew there was going to be a ceiling. This guy was just giving the money without any let or hindrance. That's the problem. So I disagree with Gabi entirely, and that we call it negativity, and quite frankly, is also another quite insulting, and I think he should also apologize. I don't think it's fair to those who did the protest at all, because we are dealing with a matter that borders on transparent management of our finances. In any case, the central banks who accept, the governors who accept that, they should have been a bit more careful during the COVID, because this was taxpayer money using to build that head of. Question really is, had the COVID not occurred, that means that he would have just been wasting our money on this stupendous project. Come on, that is not. It's really not on. There's nothing about saving the Ghanaian economy when it comes to building another modern so-called office with millions of dollars. In any case, what is funny really is that people have compared the Central Bank of England's buildings, which dates back to over 300 years, to that of the Ghanaian bank, the Central Bank, and compared the two economies. Trillions of pounds. I mean, in terms of the size of the economy of the UK, compared to Ghana's economy, which is just about 65 billion US dollars, and you have the temerity to spend money the way you do, telling us that you should have been a bit careful. You were even careful because COVID had occurred. Those are the statements and the actions of the governor that have called into question. We must really speak to them. Would Gabi have said the same thing had it been an NDC government? I don't think so. He probably would be protesting. Didn't he make tweets in 2015 that Wampa should resign because of the handling of the exchange rate? What this guy has done is millions of times worse than what Wampa suggested at the time. Really. I don't think the two situations are the same at all. Not at all.
And to conclude, just for the sake of emphasis, you are saying two things should happen. One, there should be pressure put on him to apologize for what he has said. And secondly, the pressure for him to resign should never stop.
Oh, yes, without a doubt. Those two should continue. And I'll be joining forces in that regard. I mean, I'll keep on calling on him to apologize and also to resign with the entire board, resign with the entire management. I mean, this is just recklessness. Recklessness pro max. And I think he's very incompetent as well. When he started, I thought he was doing quite well. But he allowed, as I said a while ago, he shirked his responsibility of reining in the fiscal side of things, which is the government. Allowed just spending, and then supporting it. We are not talking about just careful, prudent spending. Wasteful spending. And I'm giving you a list of them. Really.